You've spent your life gathering memories, building stories, and witnessing the world change around you. But then one day you wake up and the calendar says you've crossed 80. And whether you like it or not, something inside you feels it, not just in your body, but in your soul. You're not the same person you were at 60 or 70. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is real. And if you're not prepared, these shifts can feel like a storm you didn't see coming. So don't click away just yet, because in the next few minutes, you're going to discover 5 truths about life after 80 that most people don't talk about openly. Some will surprise you, some may hurt a little, but all of them will help you understand your journey more deeply, or perhaps help someone you love who's already there. And I want you to stay with me until the very end, because these aren't just signs of aging. They're reminders of just how valuable life becomes when time starts to whisper instead of shout. The first thing that hits, often quietly but heavily, is the shift in energy. It's not like flipping a switch. It's more like the dimming of a room as the sun sets outside. You still wake up with plans in your heart, but sometimes your body doesn't get the message. Tasks that were once second nature, getting out of bed quickly, lifting a grocery bag, walking to the store, start to demand more time, more focus, more effort. And it's not just physical. Mental energy also begins to shift. Processing things may take longer. Concentration may wander. Names might slip your mind, even though you can still remember the smell of your mother's kitchen from 70 years ago. But here's the truth. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means your body is whispering to you, saying, slow down. You've run your race and now it's okay to walk for a while. It's okay to rest more. It's okay to stop forcing yourself to be who you were decades ago. You've earned this pace. You've earned the right to take your time. With that change in energy comes a second truth, one that's harder to swallow for many. The circle around you begins to shrink. Whether it's friends moving away, loved ones passing on, or simply the fading of old routines, the world starts to feel quieter. Loneliness, even in a house full of memories, becomes more present. People who were your constants, your morning call, your bridge partner, your neighbor of 40 years, may no longer be there, and the silence they leave behind can be louder than any sound. But even here, there's a hidden blessing. In that silence, you begin to listen inward. You start having conversations with yourself that you never had before. You start valuing the small things more. Birdsong outside your window, the feel of warm sunlight on your hands, the laughter of a grandchild who visits once in a while. You realize that your circle may be smaller, but the meaning inside it can be infinitely deeper. A single genuine smile, a handwritten letter, or a few minutes of deep connection can fill your heart more than a crowded room ever could. As you reach this age, your relationship with time itself transforms. Time no longer feels unlimited, it becomes something sacred. You start counting moments, not just days. You cherish morning routines, even if they're slow. You treasure familiar walks, even if they're shorter. You value deep breaths, quiet afternoons, and peaceful evenings more than ever before. And there's a strange beauty in that. You begin to notice life with a kind of attention that only comes with age. Every day becomes a chapter that matters. But there's something else too, something many don't expect. Once you turn 80, you may find yourself reflecting on the life you've lived, not with regret, but with a sense of clarity you've never felt before. You see your mistakes not as failures, but as lessons. You see your achievements not as trophies, but as milestones. You see yourself not as old, but as someone seasoned, weathered, wise, and worthy. There's a kind of emotional honesty that settles in. You no longer pretend for anyone. You no longer apologize for taking up space. You speak your truth because you finally understand its value. And in this space, you begin to forgive yourself. You let go of burdens you carried for decades, what you didn't say, what you couldn't do, who you didn't become. You realize that being here, still breathing, still witnessing the world, that is enough. You are enough. You've made it through storms. You've danced in sunlight. You've loved and lost and loved again. And that makes your story richer than most novels people will ever read. So if you've recently turned 80, or you're approaching it, or you know someone who has, take a moment. This age is not an ending, it's a turning. a shift into a deeper version of life. Yes, things change. The body slows, the circle narrows, and time takes on a new rhythm. But none of these are reasons to fear. They're reminders. Reminders that life has never been about how fast you go, how many people you know, or how much you can do. It's about how deeply you feel, how honestly you live, and how gracefully you carry your story forward. As the days pass beyond 80, another shift begins to surface, not in your joints or your memory, but in the way the world sees you, and the way you start to see yourself. There's a quiet invisibility that creeps in. Strangers speak slower to you, as if your hearing has vanished. Some even speak around you, not to you, as though your voice has grown too soft to matter. You may have once been a teacher, a nurse, a leader, a builder, someone people listen to. And now, at times, you may feel like you're fading into the background of conversations, of society, even of your own family's lives. But you must know something. Just because the world has forgotten how to listen doesn't mean you've lost your wisdom. In fact, it's more powerful now than ever. The opinions you hold come from a place of experience most people only dream of reaching. You've lived through wars, recessions, revolutions in technology, and the rise and fall of empires. You've seen the world shift in ways that no textbook could ever teach. And that makes your presence, your perspective, priceless. So don't let that quiet invisibility convince you that you are less. Because inside you is a library of life. Inside you is a compass that still points true, even when others have lost their way. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one conversation, one story shared, one bit of advice offered from your lips, to change someone else's life forever. Don't withhold your voice. The world may not always ask, but it still desperately needs to hear you. This leads us into another powerful truth, perhaps the most surprising of all. As your body slows down and your world becomes quieter, your emotions may come to the surface in unexpected ways. Things you thought you'd buried long ago, old regrets, long-lost love, unresolved conversations, may return like waves against the shore. Some days you might cry without knowing why. Other days, you may feel an overwhelming gratitude just from seeing the sun rise again. At 80, your heart is no longer distracted by ambition or comparison. You begin to feel more purely, more deeply. A child's laughter can bring you to tears. A forgotten song on the radio can bring back a memory so vivid it makes your breath catch. You may find yourself smiling at things others overlook. The way a tree leans in the wind, the warmth of a cup of tea, the scent of laundry drying on a line. You are not becoming weaker, you are becoming more open. Your soul is speaking louder now that the noise of youth has quieted down. But with that emotional openness also comes a kind of reckoning, a mirror held up to the life you've lived. And this is where many people struggle. Regret can try to sink its claws into you. It whispers about what you didn't accomplish, where you fell short, the people you hurt, or the dreams you abandoned. And if you let it, that regret can cast a shadow over your light. But here's what you need to remember. Forgiveness is not just for others. It is for you. By 80, you've made your peace with many things. But if there's one gift you can still give yourself, it's this. Forgive your younger self. That version of you was learning, stumbling, growing. They didn't know what you know now. They were doing their best with what they had. And you, right now, you are the product of every trial, every mistake, every choice they made. And look where you are. You're still standing, still breathing, still growing. Let go of the illusion that your worth was tied to perfection. Your worth has always been in your resilience, in your capacity to keep showing up, even when things got hard, even when people let you down, even when you doubted yourself. That strength, that quiet, unshakable strength, is still in you. And it's never too late to heal, never too late to find peace. Now here's something many people never realize. Turning 80 can actually unlock a level of freedom you've never known before. Not the freedom to travel far or stay up late, but the freedom to finally be yourself. To wear what you like. To speak your truth without worrying who disagrees. To chase joy unapologetically. You no longer live for approval, you live for honesty, for peace, for laughter that comes from the belly. You begin to say no more freely, and yes more wisely. You stop rushing. You stop pretending. You stop needing to be needed, and instead, you begin simply to be. That is the kind of freedom younger generations dream of but rarely understand. And you, because of everything you've been through, have finally arrived there. But here's the beautiful twist. Even though your body may not move like it used to, your spirit continues to expand. Your capacity to love, to listen, to give, to reflect, it grows. You may no longer run marathons, but you run deeper into truth, into patience, into grace. You are not declining. You are refining. And that's something our culture doesn't say enough. Now, if any of this has touched your heart, if any of it feels familiar, then you know you're not alone. There are millions who've crossed this threshold and felt unsure of what comes next. But you're already ahead, simply because you're willing to face it with open eyes and an open heart. There's a moment, often unspoken, that arrives sometime after you've crossed 80. It's not marked on the calendar. There's no announcement. But quietly, you begin to wonder, what is my role now? When the children have grown, careers have ended, and the house feels more still than ever, a question lingers in the background. Do I still have a purpose? The answer is yes. 1,000 times yes. But your purpose doesn't always look like what it once did. It's not measured in productivity, or how many people you help in a day, or how fast you can move from one task to another. Purpose, at this stage of life, becomes something deeper. It becomes the way your presence brings calm into a room. It becomes the story you tell that helps someone else avoid a mistake. It becomes the way your wisdom becomes a lighthouse for someone lost in a storm. Your identity, once tied to job titles, parenting roles, daily responsibilities, now begins to recenter on who you are, not just what you do. You are a teacher, not in a classroom, but in how you live. You are a guide, not with a map, but with your voice. You are a living archive of resilience, proof that pain can be endured, that love can be survived, that life doesn't stop giving lessons, even when the pace slows down. There is deep meaning in simply being present, in choosing to wake up and face the day, even when your body aches, in calling someone just to ask how they are, in writing down memories so future generations can understand where they come from. There is power in your stillness, your perspective, your ability to say, I've been through this. You'll be okay. And just when you think the world has moved on without you, something happens. A grandchild reaches out. A neighbor knocks to borrow your insight. A stranger finds comfort in your smile at the park. You realize your presence is still a light. Maybe not as loud as before, but just as necessary. Because connection at this stage doesn't come from being everywhere. It comes from being fully somewhere. This brings us to something sacred, relationships. By now, you've likely said goodbye to people who held pieces of your heart. Friends who laughed beside you. Family members who were your anchors. The absence they leave is not something time erases. It's something your soul reshapes. Grief after 80 becomes a companion, but not a cruel one, a quiet one, a reminder of how deeply you loved and were loved in return. Even so, new connections are still possible. New friendships, new conversations, even new love. Just because you're older doesn't mean you stop needing closeness. In fact, your hunger for genuine connection may deepen. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to honor. So reach out, speak first, invite someone over, send the message, make the call. The world may seem faster and more distant, but human hearts haven't changed. People still long to be seen, and you have the eyes to see them. Don't let pride or fear stop you from building new bridges. Age doesn't make you less deserving of love. It makes you more equipped to give it fully, without games or pretense. And there's something else too. Something you might not hear often. Your creativity is not gone. In fact, it might just be waiting for you. You may suddenly feel drawn to paint, to write, to garden, to sing, to create in a way you never had time for before. That's not a coincidence. That's your spirit stretching its wings. Now that it's no longer weighed down by deadlines or expectations. Embrace that urge. Follow it. Whether it's picking up a paintbrush or baking a cake from memory or crafting something with your hands. These are not hobbies. They're expressions of who you are now. They're a continuation of your voice in a different language. And the world needs that voice. At 80 and beyond, you become a keeper of history, but also a creator of new joy. It's never too late to try something new. You're not too old. You're seasoned. And there's nothing more beautiful than a soul that still wants to learn, to grow, to make beauty where it stands. And let's not forget something that often gets overlooked: your laughter. Just because the body aches doesn't mean the heart can't dance. The ability to find humor, to smile, to joke about the silly things, to see the absurdity of life, is a powerful gift. Laughter heals, especially now. It loosens the grip of fear. It softens sorrow. It reminds you, and others, that your spirit is still alive and well. So laugh more, even if it's just at yourself. At the fact that you forgot why you walked into the kitchen. At the strange sounds your knees make. At the little mishaps that come with aging. These aren't embarrassments. They're the soundtrack of a life well lived. And if you've made it this far in the video, know this: you are rare. You are one of the few who are not only living through these years, but paying attention to them. You're seeking to understand, to grow, to connect. That alone sets you apart. Most people drift. You are still awake, still learning, still becoming. If you've made it this far, take a deep breath. Because what comes next is perhaps the most sacred realization of all. It's not just about the body slowing down, the quieting of your days, or even the deep reflection that fills your mornings. It's about the legacy you're leaving behind. Not through money, property, or possessions, but through the invisible threads you've woven into the lives of others. You see, legacy isn't just what people say about you after you're gone. It's what they feel in their bones when they think of you. It's the stories your children remember without even trying. It's the quiet wisdom that echoes in your grandchild's choices. It's the values, the love, the lessons you didn't even realize you were passing down. Every gentle act, every sacrifice, every kind word, it stays. Long after you're no longer sitting at the table, you're still present. In the way someone loves, in the way someone forgives, in the way someone keeps going. By the time you've reached 80, you are not just living your own life anymore. You are carrying the lives of everyone you've ever loved and influenced. And in return, they carry you. This is the miracle of legacy. It's a ripple in still water. You may not see where it goes, but it goes on. And here's something no one tells you: you still have time to shape it. Right now. With the words you choose. With the grace you offer. With the way you meet each day. Not with fear, but with softness, with presence. With the full strength of a soul who has lived and endured and refused to give up. It's not about making grand gestures anymore. It's about simple presence. Sitting and listening. Saying, "I'm proud of you" when it matters. Saying, "I forgive you" even when it's hard. Saying, "I love you" before it's too late. These are the bricks of your legacy. These are the echoes you'll leave behind. And even as your physical world grows quieter, your spiritual life begins to bloom in ways you may have never expected. You start to feel connected to something bigger, whether you call it God, the universe, or simply the mystery of being. You start to understand that life wasn't random, that you were never alone, that every joy and sorrow, every gain and loss, every detour and milestone was shaping something sacred within you. There's peace in that realization, a peace that allows you to let go of old bitterness, a peace that helps you forgive others, even if they never said sorry, a peace that reminds you, you don't have to carry everything anymore. It's okay to rest. It's okay to release. And still, you matter. You matter now. You matter today. Not for what you used to do, but for who you are right now, breathing, reflecting, loving, being. The world still needs your voice, your perspective, your stories. They're part of the larger story that humanity needs to hear. They are the gentle reminders that life, even at its quietest, still pulses with meaning. You may be in your 80s, but that doesn't mean the best moments are behind you. Sometimes the most powerful moments come in the smallest forms. A long hug, a forgiving glance, a quiet walk, a handwritten letter, a shared laugh over tea. These aren't little things. These are the moments that live on forever. So take the photo, share the story, dance slowly in the living room, say what's in your heart. Let someone see you fully, because this time, this version of you is irreplaceable. And maybe you're not the person you once were. Maybe you're even better, softer, kinder, braver in a quieter way. Your edges may be worn, but your heart is polished. And that is something the world needs more of, not less. Remember, turning 80 isn't about fading. It's about shining in a gentler, more graceful way. You've earned every wrinkle, every laugh line, every scar. You've loved and lost and loved again. You've fallen and gotten up. You've witnessed history and created your own. You've become someone extraordinary, simply by continuing to live, love, and learn. And now, as this video ends, one truth remains. You are still becoming. So don't stop. Don't shrink. Don't think it's too late to matter. Because the final chapter isn't just the end. It's the moment the story finally makes sense. If this touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it.